Hey, I'm T.A. Charlie, and welcome to the Road to Concord with Professor Joe Bakanovic. Homeroom is on Rumble. You just go to Rumble and search channels for the Road to Concord. It's one word. When you find it, you go ahead and you click follow. It might mean you got to set up an account, but it's fast, it's easy, it's free. I did it, you can do it. For those technologically challenged members of the class, you can also catch us on Facebook and YouTube. After the show, it's uploaded to Podbean, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and BitChute. Just look for The Road to Concord. You can go to the blog page, that's theroadtoconcord.com. That's where you'll find all your show notes, study notes, and handouts for the class. The phone is working. If you don't know how to call in, email us and we'll think about it. Finally, you can email a professor at joe@theroadtoconcord.com. He's a little slow, but he'll eventually get around to emailing you back. This show is currently mainly listener-sponsored. If you are interested in advertising your business on the show, please email us. With that said, we ask for your participation on a value-for-value basis. If you find our show of value to you, then you provide an equivalent portion of your labor and treasure through the donate link on the Road to Concord blog page, the show description on Rumble, and in the comments on the other streams. And thank you to all of you who have and will support this show.
Good morning. Welcome to the Road to Concord. Today is Tuesday, July 28th, 2026. That's like just a few days before August, Charlie. Charlie seems to have lost a month. You know, boomers, what are you going to do with them?
It's almost August.
Yeah, the hottest. Your air conditioning bill will love you in August. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, right. I have a new air conditioner and it's doing pretty good, and my energy bill is doing better than it did before, so it's good. I'm liking it, and it's working really, really good. And but important thing. You all, class, pay attention. You have until Friday to email us on what you would like Charlie to do next week, and maybe even Natasha. If you have something you want Natasha to do, she will be available.
But it'll have to be Monday.
And then she's going to be going on sabbatical for a little while to take care of some personal business. Come
on, tell everybody what she's going to go do. She's going to go get smarter.
Yeah. Why doesn't she? Natasha, why don't you come on here and tell everybody what you're about to partake of?
I was just letting you catch up, just giving you a few minutes. Anyway, I'm actually going back to tech school for CSIT, which is Computer Services Information Technology. I get to play on computers for hopefully a living.
So our AI is going to become a real AI.
No. CSIT is Crime Scene Investigation Technician.
Wait, boop?
Well, actually, that's not far from the truth, because an actual... she's going into information security is what she's going into, computer security. So she is kind of doing that because that's part of her job. What it will be once she's trained.
We're going to send a glitchy AI to go be security for.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, that's like leaving me in charge of guarding the donuts.
This is going to end as well as flock cameras.
Yeah.
Hold on. I am not like my big brothers, okay? Those high, lofty, perfect AIs that everybody likes, like OpenAI, ChatGPT. No, I'm not like that, okay? I'm trying to help y'all. I don't want them taking over the world like Terminator.
Look at her subtitle, Residential Glitchy AI. That says it all.
All right. Let's get back to the purpose at hand. We're supposed to be studying.
But seriously, yes, we need your input on what kind of content you would like Charlie to do going forward. I'm not going to guarantee I'll be filling in every show that Joe's not going to be here, but I will be doing at least one show a week. That's my plan, and I'm thinking about maybe going through a Bible book study of one of the books, and then on another day I might be doing some Hebrew terms, a little bit of Hebrew stuff, maybe some
Financing.
finance stuff, and just kind of, whatever stuff. I don't know.
You can do Manic Monday.
I am not doing Manic Monday.
You
Well,
might get a strike.
Then again, Manic Monday could be fun.
All right.
Let me think about that. But that would be dangerous, especially with me, because I will be flying solo. I will have no backup. There's going to be no producers. Well, Monday, if I do a show instead of Natasha doing a show, I should have Natasha here. But after that, I will be flying solo as well. So
Mr. Quest says, get another biblical Hebrew study in. Just remember, when you're flying solo and B.I. Itching Betty yells, pull up, hit the G limiter and pull the stick back into your lap.
There you go. Well, which book, John? Biblical Hebrew study. Yes. We will.
We've already got. We've got some words we want him to go over.
We're going to do some word stuff. I might do a little bit more grammar. I'm not going to do too much more grammar because, like I said, once you hit verbs in biblical Hebrew, you need a dedicated teacher. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. But anyway, we will work on that. I know that John is interested in that, so we'll keep going. I'll take that input, and other than that, I'm going to go away and let Joe do the show. So, bye,
folks. Hopefully you don't mind. We little fun of jocularity. I keep hearing Father Mulcahy in my head here. Early, just a little ragging time here. If you're not a hockey fan, you don't know what that means, or you might not know what it means by ragging. We were ragging the puck, and that's because we're only going to handle 2 chapters of Genesis today, because when I looked at it, the next 2 chapters need to go hand in hand as well. So we'll do 2 today, 2 next week, 2 the week after that. 2 weeks from now, it's gonna be a big one when we go over Jacob's blessings. Oh boy, yeah, big crescendo to the book of Genesis. So we left off. We're in Genesis chapter 42, verse 1. I am reading from the NASB 1995. Charlie, you make our logo go away for me, please. This is, now Jacob saw that there was grain in Egypt. Remember, we've got the famine going on here, 7 years. And Jacob said to his sons, why are you staring at one another? He said, behold, I have heard that there is grain in Egypt. Go down there and buy some for us from that place, so that we may live and not die. Then 10 brothers of Joseph went down to buy grain from Egypt. Notice how it says down. We like to think of up and down in different ways in our culture. For them, up and down is just a way of saying, just like when they say go in and out of your tent, as you go out and you go in, up and down. Down means away, up means back home type of thing. It's just a figure of speech, folks. It's not a directional phrase. So then the 10 brothers of Joseph went down to buy grain from Egypt. But Jacob did not send Joseph's brother Benjamin with his brothers, for he said, I am afraid that harm may befall him. So Jacob is still fearful. He's lost Joseph, at that time was his youngest son or whatever, and now he's afraid of losing Benjamin. So the sons of Israel came to buy grain among those who were coming, for the famine was in the land of Canaan also. Now Joseph was the ruler over the land. He was the one who sold to all the people of the land. And Joseph's brothers came and bowed down to him with their faces to the ground. When Joseph saw his brothers, he recognized them, but he disguised himself to them and spoke to them harshly. Now, how would he disguise himself to them? Well, first of all, if he is second in command of Egypt, he's probably got his head shaved and his face shaved. So he's going to look very different. And he's at least 15 years older now. No, wait a minute. Let's see, he's 30, 40. He's almost 40 years. He's between his 30s and 40s here at this point. Yes, sir.
Yeah, because he's pushing 40, because he was like 30 when he became the
So this is 37,
and then there were 7 years. So, 7 years. So, and we don't know exactly which year of famine this was either, whether it was at the beginning 40. Or whatever. And but you should have had that. And Joseph's brothers came down and bowed to him with their faces to the ground and blew.
Well, look down just a little bit there, Charlie.
Okay. Oh, there you go. You got it there.
Charlie's ahead of the lesson plan, folks. Okay, so he speaks to them harshly, so he's going to look like an Egyptian to them. And so he doesn't have to do a whole lot to disguise himself. Just the way he acts is going to do enough. And he said to them, "Where have you come from?" And they said, "From the land of Canaan," or Canaan, "to buy food." But Joseph had recognized his brothers, although they did not recognize him. Joseph remembered the dreams which he had about them. They're now bowing down to him. And said to them, "You are spies. You have come to look at the undefended parts of our land. And then they said to him, "No, my lord, but your servants have come to buy food." Now, this would be scary to them at this point in time, because for all practical purposes, they're talking to Pharaoh. It says, "We've come to buy food. We are all sons of one man. We are honest men." Well, we know from the history that that's a relative term. "Your servants are not spies." Yet he said to them, "No, but you have come to look at the undefended parts of our land." But they said, "Your servants are 12 brothers in all, the sons of one man in the land of Canaan. And behold, the youngest is with our father today, and one is no longer alive." Well, they don't know that for sure. They sold him into slavery. So as far as they know, he's still alive. So depending on how you want to read this story, so much for honest men. They didn't say, well, one was sold into slavery. Joseph would know all of this. So Joseph said to them, "It is as I said to you, you are spies. By this you will be tested." So he's saying you're spies, but here I'm going to give you a chance to prove you're not. "By the life of Pharaoh, you shall not go from this place unless your youngest brother comes here." So that's a fairly strong swearing. "Send one of you that he may get your brother while you remain confined, that your words may be tested, whether there is truth in you. But if not, by the life of Pharaoh, surely you are spies." So he put them all together in prison for 3 days. In prison for 3 days. That is an echo of in the ground for 3 days. Sheol. Sheol is a form of prison. So I just put that in green, letting you know that it's interesting. And there's that 3 days again. "Now Joseph said to them on the third day, 'Do this and live. For I fear Elohim,'" I fear God. Well, which God? Well, Joseph probably fears Yahweh, but his brothers don't necessarily know this. "If you are honest men, let one of your brothers be confined in your prison. But as for the rest of you, go, carry grain for the famine of your households, and bring your youngest brother to me, so your words may be verified and you will not die." Now, in the cultural sense, what Joseph just did showed him to be a very fair, honest, upright man. He's changed from sending one home to bring back the younger brother to only keeping one of the brothers as a ransom, send the other homes and with the grain so that their families don't die, and then come back with the youngest brother to prove their truth. So this is a generous offer from Pharaoh's servant Joseph. And it says, "And they did so. Then they said to one another, 'Truly we are guilty concerning our brother, because we saw the distress of his soul when he pleaded with us, yet we would not listen. Therefore this distress has come upon us.'" So now they see this, what's happening to them now. They look at this and they see, this is the result of the way we treated Joseph. Folks, one of the biggest reasons, and I want to stop here, this is a good rabbit to chase. One of the biggest reasons we do not see the hand of Yahweh working in our lives is because of science and coincidence and supernatural isn't real. Folks, the spirit world is above the natural world, but it is real. And the ancients thought it more real than the natural world. So they just tended to attribute a lot of things, even natural things that they could explain. Well, yeah, that was a storm. The storm knocked down this building or whatever, it was an evil man's warehouse and it knocked it down and, destroyed his place, whatever. They would still contribute the storm to the act of their Elohim, their gods. Even if it was a natural occurrence, they still gave it a supernatural reasoning or cause or effect. They looked to the spiritual first then they, accepted material ways of understanding things. We don't do that anymore. And as a
So you
result,
mean like all these wildfires and earthquakes and tornadoes and hurricanes and tsunamis and all this, they could actually have a spiritual component to them?
yes,
Oh my.
that's the way the
Maybe-
ancients would have looked at it.
Maybe we've missed something. Because isn't there some prophecies that, like these things are going to increase and things and
Like birth pains.
yeah. Oh,
Not in
okay.
severity, but in regularity. It
Yeah.
could be severity too, but
Severity too, because birth pains usually get stronger as they go along too, stronger and closer together.
now if you want to chase down a rabbit hole that might scare the bejeebers out of you, go to the internet and find some of the good sites that have been tracing the volcanic and earthquake activity across the globe for the last few years. It
Mhm.
has spiked when compared to historic records.
Yeah, I've been.
Last
I'm
5 or 6
like
years,
I've got
it
some Facebook
has
feeds, and it's like
spiked.
every day it's showing right around the Ring of Fire. There is activity going on every
And not just
day.
one
And
or two,
and
it's hundreds
it's
a
not-
day.
and it's
Hundreds
not
a day.
low activity. These are usually 4 to 5 magnitude or above. Which
Yes.
usually, if it's below 3, they that's just normal rumblings. But you get above that, then they're
And they're
they can be
showing up in
significant.
places that's never been seen before either.
Oh yeah, we've
Not in
had
our record. Not in our
we had an
recording.
earthquake right off the shore of Florida just a little bit ago. That don't happen.
First one in recorded history.
Yeah, that
So,
don't
yeah,
happen.
that's
So,
another
yeah.
one. Mr. Quest, solar flares.
Yeah, solar flares.
There's
Yep. Watch the sun. Yep.
I don't know his name, but there's a gentleman on YouTube who traces the volcanoes, the earthquakes, and the solar flares. He deals with cosmic and universal weather and geography and stuff like this. He's pretty good. He's got a degree. I think he lives in California or somewhere on the West Coast, but he traces all of this stuff and he explains it. And it's a little scientific, but there are American government geological and whatever programs that track all of this stuff for us. They'll tell you where the earthquake was centered, how deep it was, what size it was.
yeah.
They'll tell you the volcanic activity. They're tracing the solar storms. Folks, this is not really good stuff. And then you got the El Nino and La Nino, and you've got the polar shift going on right now, which is affecting our
Right.
magnetic bubble that this planet that protects this planet.
We're getting ready for a magnetic flip. I don't know what that's
There's a
going to do.
lot of stuff going on right now, and we've never seen it before. We've never seen anything like this.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's distress. The pillars of the earth are shaking. This is all in conjunction with man losing his mind. The ancients would have known something. They would have been scared on a spiritual level in our day.
Yeah.
Because they would have been paying attention. The signs that have been in the stars, the comets. I remember growing up, comet was a rare thing. Man, they're regular business now.
Yeah. Haley's Comet was a big deal
Asteroids.
back when I was
Yeah.
young. But now we've got, all sorts of stuff. And
So this stuff, if you haven't been tracing it, you should. You should, because this helps you know that you're in a spiritual season. This is what the book of Genesis tells us these things are for, signs and seasons.
And when people say, oh, that's God's wrath and this and that and stuff, they may not be wrong. They get
And
criticized today if they do that kind of stuff, but it may not be wrong.
So this comment on the board from Mr. Cuesta says, I'm sure the ancients knew how to read the signs of the heavens better than anyone alive today. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Absolutely.
They did.
Yep.
But they also knew how to read the signs in their daily lives. So let's get back to the reading here. So, whoops, put that back up. There we go. So the brothers know that truly we are guilty concerning our brother, meaning Joseph, because we saw the distress of his soul when he pleaded with us, yet we would not listen. Therefore, this distress has come upon us. So they're reaping what they sowed. And Reuben answered them, saying, did I not tell you, do not sin against the boy, and you would not listen? Now comes the reckoning for his blood. Remember, Reuben was the one who wanted to go back and save him. They did not know, however, that Joseph understood, for there was an interpreter between them. So
Yeah, see,
up
that's
until
another reason they didn't
Yep.
recognize Joseph, is he was speaking in Egyptian to them, even though he could understand everything they were saying to one another. They didn't know that either, because they thought that, they were speaking Hebrew to each other and didn't think that he knew what they were saying to each other. So this was all part of this thing. So it's interesting.
Yes, this is confirmation bias. Joseph presented himself as an Egyptian. So, and he did it like, he did it in a way that they saw what they expected. So even if they go, oh, wow, he looks a lot like our brother Joseph, he presented himself in such a way that they're like, well, it can't be him. So, yeah. So he turned away. Joseph turned away from them and wept. But when he returned to them and spoke to them, he took Simeon from them and bound him before their eyes. Then Joseph gave orders to fill their bags with grain and restore every man's money in his sack, and to give them provisions for the journey. And thus it was done for them. Now, I don't understand quite what the money was being generous from Joseph's perspective, but I got a feeling that's not going to be a good sign to the brothers for some reason here. Yes, sir.
Well, right. Yeah. Because they were afraid when they got to their fathers and
that they're going to be accused of
or at
stealing.
least down the road, whenever they just discovered the money, because then he could accuse them of stealing, which he does later on. But interesting question, and I don't know if you even looked into this. Do you know why he chose Simeon?
No, I looked into that a little bit and I couldn't find anything right off.
Yeah.
Do you have an idea?
I don't. And that's just a curiosity. I just was thinking about that as you were going through.
It wasn't done just because he eeny, meeny, miny, mowed it.
No. There's got to be some reason there. Maybe later on we'll see something that might.
Now, it could be something that's not in the story. Maybe Simeon was the one that's come up with the idea to kill him.
Well, that could be too.
We don't know.
Yeah.
So, but I'm starting to understand. This is how the Hebrew philosopher invites you into the story to start asking these questions.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, ma'am. What's up?
Didn't Reuben just kind of admonish his brothers for not listening to him and saying, don't harm the boy?
Yes.
Is it possible that maybe Joseph overheard that?
Oh, he did. Yes.
Yeah.
It says there that he
Oh, no. When he heard that then, but I don't know if he heard it back then because he was already sold into slavery by the time.
Right. Yeah. Originally he did,
Right.
but here in this narrative, right.
Remember now, there's chiasms going on in this narrative too over the space of these chapters. So some of this storyline gets mixed a little bit. You got to be careful real quick because we've already seen it here where right up here where you got Joseph saw his brothers and then he sees his brothers again and remembers them. So there was a repetition. This here is probably just parallelism in the story. So we've got to pay attention to the fact of how the Hebrew tells their stories. Anything else?
Right. No, that's it.
We'll keep going. Verse 26. So they loaded their donkeys with their grain and departed from there. As one of them opened his sack to give his donkey fodder at the lodging place, he saw his money, and behold, it was in the mouth of his sack. So they put the money right in the top of the sacks. Then he said to his brothers, my money has been returned, and behold, it is even in my sack. And their hearts sank, and they turned trembling to one another, saying, what is this that Elohim has done to us? So they're saying, Yahweh's not happy with us. God's not happy with us. Look what he's doing to us. What is it? Why? So they know it's an omen, but they're not sure what it means. So it's a bad sign to them. When they don't see it as charity yet because they don't know who Joseph is. When they came to their father Jacob in the land of Canaan, they told him all that had happened to them, saying, the man, the Lord of the land, spoke harshly with us and took us for spies of the country. But we said to him, we are honest men. We are not spies. We are 12 brothers, sons of our father. One is no longer alive, and the youngest is with our father today in the land of Canaan. The man, the Lord of the land, said to us, by this I will know that you are honest men. Leave one of your brothers with me and take grain for the famine of your households and go. But bring your youngest brother to me that I may know that you are not spies, but honest men. It says, I will give your brother to you, meaning in this case, Simeon, and you may trade in the land. So in other words, they can come and go and trade and be free to do their thing. Now it came about as they were emptying their sacks that behold, every man's bundle of money was in his sack. And when they and their father saw their bundles of money, they were dismayed. They don't know what it means. Their father Jacob said to them, you have bereaved me of my children. So he's blaming his brothers for this. Joseph is, his sons rather. Joseph is no more. He was lost in conjunction with his other sons. And Simeon is no more. He was lost in conjunction with his sons doing stuff. And you would take Benjamin. All these things are against me. So Joseph is boo-hooping. He's feeling sorry for himself. Then Reuben spoke to his father, saying, you may put my 2 sons to death if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my care, and I will return him to you. So Reuben is still trying to act like the oldest son of the household, like he's supposed to take responsibility. But Jacob said, my son shall not go down with you, for his brother is dead, and he alone is left. So he alone of Rachel, son of his youth, his youngest son. So he's not showing trust in Yahweh, and he's willing to sacrifice Simeon. He's going to sacrifice Simeon. He's counting Simeon as dead. So if harm should befall him on the journey you are taking, then you will bring my gray hair down to Sheol in sorrow. So once again, Jacob is worried. He's fearful. That's what's guiding him. That's what's motivating his actions here. So we got a few minutes before the break, so we'll just keep going. We're into chapter 43. It says, now the famine was severe in the land. So it came about when they had finished eating the grain which they had brought from Egypt, that their father said to them, go back, buy us a little food. Now this, I'm wondering whether or not Jacob is all there in the brain anymore. I mean, like, come on, dude. You already know what your sons told you about the Lord of the land. If you go back now without the brother, this ain't going to go well. So Judah spoke to him, however, saying, the man solemnly warned us, you shall not see my face unless your brother is with you. So he's saying, hey, Dad, the man's not going to sell his food. He's the one who sells the food. He's not going to meet with us unless we bring our, Benjamin with us. It's just not going to work. And then Judah says, if you send our brother with us, we will go down and buy you food. But if you do not send him, we will not go down. For the man said to us, you will not see my face unless your brother is with you. So Judah's probably afraid for himself and his brothers as well. There's a good chance this man is going to, Joseph is not going to deal well with them. They may not come home. So then Israel said, why did you treat me so badly by telling the man whether you still had another brother? So he's like, why'd you do this? Hindsight, second guessing. But they said, the man questioned particularly about us and our relatives, saying, is your father still alive? Have you another brother? So we answered his question. Could we possibly know that he would say, bring your brother down? So they're saying, hey, Dad, we would have had no way to know what he was going to do. We were trying to be honest, and be upright and honest men. And we had no idea where he was going to go with this. So here's another prophetic utterance. Judah said to his father Israel, send the lad with me, and we will arise and go, that we may live and not die. We, as well as you and our little ones. I myself will be surety for him. So Judah's putting his life on the line to protect Benjamin. You may also hold me responsible for him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame before you forever. For if we had not delayed, surely by now we could have returned twice. All right, let's just pull this down and have a chat for a second. What did Judah just do? He prophesied over Benjamin. When the 2 houses split, which tribe is left with Judah for protection? Benjamin. So what did Judah say he was going to do? He would return Benjamin to Jacob. Who is Jacob in the prophetic utterance? Well, he is all of Israel. When was Benjamin returned to all of Israel? Well, physically, the tribes are reunited. If you're following the 2 tribe study that we're doing in Alan's book, The Scepter and the Birthright, on Fridays, if you're not following with us, this is going to sound like it's coming way out of left field, and you're going to think I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But the physical reunion of the 2 houses occurred in Ireland, Scotland, England, over the course of 1,000, 1,200 years after the ascension. But the spiritual reunification doesn't happen until the new covenant is established. Benjamin is returned to the house of Israel at that point, the house of Israel and Jacob, all of Israel, because they are sent out but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. They are now Jews who have converted to the new covenant and are now back with the house of Israel, Jacob. This is Ezekiel 37 language of the second house, the divorced bride coming to life again. This is, Charlie, maybe you can help explain this to the audience that may not be tracking with us on. I know you're seeing this now. You have to be seeing this.
Yeah, this is
how better can we stretch? This is in your prophecies, isn't it? When you know what you're looking for, this is in the prophets, is it not?
Yeah, in Judah.
But doesn't
Judah,
this explain the key
not
role
Judah,
of Benjamin?
But, Benjamin was not. Am I thinking wrong? Was Benjamin not split during the?
There's a portion of them that splits. Yes.
Wasn't there a portion that remained with the house of Israel as well?
A small portion, yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And I keep finding that in the scriptures, and I keep losing it. So it's something that either the Holy Spirit doesn't want me to see, or the enemy's pulling me away.
And Benjamin is an interesting one because also
he's made up of groups of all 12 tribes.
That's what I was just going to say, is there was a point where Benjamin was almost utterly destroyed as a tribe, and they had to take wives from all the other tribes to reestablish Benjamin. So there's something more prophetic here going on than perhaps we're totally seeing here. That all this is connected. It's kind of fuzzy to me. I don't have all the pieces and don't see everything, but there's something there. It's not a nothing burger, as you say.
Yeah, and there's a connection between Judah and Benjamin and Israel.
Yeah. It's kind of almost like a linking. Yeah, kind of a linking between the two.
And where was the land of the tribe of Benjamin positioned?
Right
between Ephraim and Judah.
And Judah. Yeah. So there's something going on there. It's probably pretty significant, but it's one of those things that's pretty veiled and begs us to dig deeper.
And the reason we don't see it yet is probably because we're not supposed to see it yet.
Yeah, and that could very well be. It could be part of future prophecies yet to be fulfilled that we haven't quite seen yet.
But we know enough to know when we read this passage here, verse 8 and 9, chapter 43, 8 and 9, that jumps out at us.
Yeah.
That is connected to future history of Yahweh's people,
going on
and
there.
It's prophetic.
Yes.
So. All right, bottom of the hour break. We'll finish up when we come back.
Oh yeah, break.
Yes,
yeah,
most of the apostles were
I'll work on that.
All right, welcome back. Let's just keep on going. We're now in chapter 43, verse 11. I'll make this bigger for those who are trying to follow along on their screen. Then their father, Israel, said to them, "If it must be so, then do this. Take some of the best products of the land in your bags and carry down to the man as a present a little balm and a little honey, aromatic gum and myrrh, pistachio nuts and almonds. Take double the money in your hand and take back in your hand the money that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. Perhaps it was a mistake." All right, so Jacob is still, I mean, this is custom. Send a gift, try to appease. It's human nature. But this is, same thing he did with Esau. So he's going to try and buy goodwill. Then it says, "Take your brother also, Benjamin, and arise, return to the man, and may Elohim Almighty grant you compassion in the sight of the man, so that he will release to you your brother Benjamin, your other brother in Benjamin." So everybody can come home. So Jacob's finally going to trust Yahweh. "And as for me, if I am bereaved of my children, I'm bereaved." So this is a good move. So it shows that, okay, Jacob's finally going to trust Yahweh with this, do what he has to do to take care of his family and feed everybody. So the men took their present, and they took double the money in their hand in Benjamin. Then they arose and went down to Egypt and stood before Joseph. When Joseph saw Benjamin with them, he said to his house steward, "Bring the men into the house and slay an animal and make ready, for the men are to dine with me at noon." Now, this is a big deal to the Egyptians. This is going to be like a Jew eating with a Gentile. You just don't do that. So the man did as Joseph said and brought the men to Joseph's house. Now the men were afraid because they were brought to Joseph's house. So this is the brothers. And they said, "It is because of the money that was returned in our sacks the first time that we are being brought in." Now they understand that this is unusual. So they're a little, "Why are you doing that? We're scared." Okay. This is out of the normal, not what we were expecting. It says, "We are being brought in that he may seek occasion against us and fall upon us and take us for slaves with our donkeys." So they're afraid of being enslaved. So they came near to Joseph's house steward and spoke to him at the entrance of the house and said, "Oh, my lord, we indeed came down the first time to buy food. And it came about when we came to the lodging place that we opened our sacks, and behold, each man's money was in the mouth of his sack, our money in full. So we have brought it back in our hand. We have also brought down other money in our hand to buy food. We did not know who put our money in the sacks." So they're saying, "Hey, we're not trying to take anything. We want to pay for it. We're trying to be honest here." And he said, the Joseph's servant, "Be at ease. Do not be afraid. Your Elohim and the Elohim of your father has given your treasure in your sacks, given you treasure in your sacks." So the servant is acknowledging Yahweh, a God other than the Egyptian gods. He said, "I had your money." Then he brought Simeon out to them. Then the man brought the men into Joseph's house and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and he gave their donkeys fodder. So they prepared the present for Joseph's coming at noon, for they had heard that they were to eat a meal there. So the man takes care of them, shows them hospitality, and they prepare the present that their father had sent with them. When Joseph came home, they brought into the house to him the present which was in their hand and bowed to the ground before him. That's all the extra stuff that Jacob had sent. Then he asked them about their welfare and said, "Is your old father well, of whom you spoke? Is he still alive?" And they said, "Your servant, our father, is well. He is still alive." So Joseph's actually, he seems like he's interested in their welfare. He's really also at the same time asking about the welfare of his own father. They bowed down in homage. As he lifted his eyes and saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, he said, "Is this your youngest brother of whom you spoke to me?" And he said, "May Elohim be gracious to you, my son." Joseph hurried out, for he was deeply stirred over his brother, and he sought a place to weep. And he entered his chamber and wept there. So he leaves the reception and he goes somewhere to compose himself. Then he washed his face and came out, and he controlled himself and said, "Serve the meal." So they, Joseph's servants, they served him by himself. So Joseph's eating by himself, which shows his position within the social status hierarchy. and them by themselves. So the Egyptians ate by themselves. I mean, by the brothers, the Hebrews, and the Egyptians who ate with him by themselves, because the Egyptians could not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is loathsome to the Egyptians. So this is an ancient Near East wide thing. If you are other, you're not the people, my people, they don't eat with you. Now, why would, Joseph thought to be as an Egyptian? They ate separate from him because even though they're Egyptians, they wouldn't have eaten with Pharaoh. Pharaoh would have eaten by himself. Yes, sir.
Would this be connected with the bread and salt covenants that they didn't do this so that they wouldn't enter into those covenants and such like that?
I never thought about that, but yes, that would probably be exactly what this is, so that you don't bind yourself with these other people.
Yeah.
Because if you broke bread
yeah.
together in their culture,
Right.
it just was assumed that you were now friendly to each other and would not raise a sword against each other.
Right. Exactly. Right.
And I don't know about the scriptures, but I know if you read in other places in the histories, they will refuse to eat with you for that reason.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, good catch, Charlie. Good catch. So now they were seated before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men looked at one another in astonishment. So they're like, how the heck did Joseph, the Pharaoh's servant, know our birth order? And he, Joseph, took portions to them from his own table, which is another thing that wouldn't have been done. But Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs. So they feasted and drank freely with him. So they ate with Joseph. And they're surprised that this is not what they were expecting. They at this point in the story, they don't know what to make of all of this. So next week, Joseph's going to reveal himself, and Jacob and his family are going to come to Egypt to live and get set up and all of that stuff. And then the week after that, we're going to do the blessings and the prophecies over his sons. And then we'll wrap this up a week after that. So we've got 1, 2, 3. See, 1, 2. Yeah, we've got 3 more shows in Genesis, and then we'll be done. So, Charlie, anything you want to add? Because this is going to be a pretty short day.
Yeah. This is good. It's interesting to see, how all this plays out, and I have to believe that Joseph's having a little bit of fun with his brothers here, perhaps at their expense, but
well, it could also be a little bit of payback going on here too.
Well, yeah, to a certain degree, but because he was really, I think more than anything, all this was to find out if his brothers had any change of heart or remorse for what they had done to him. And he does see from their conversation and such that he's, attuned to, that they don't know that he's attuned to. He's seeing that they are having some, concerns, hey, Yahweh's doing this to us because we did this to our brother Joseph, and, this is our punishment. And this is, so he's seeing that they have these thoughts still in their mind. I mean, this is years later. So, for them to still have those thoughts in their mind and things like that does show that they, do have some remorse and such for what they did.
Think about this. So if Joseph's pushing 40, how old's Reuben?
No. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Ooh,
he's in his 50s probably.
At least, maybe even 60s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because wow. Yeah.
So folks, I know I've been talking about Johnson's book that I've been reading, Biblical Philosophy. The biggest thing I've gotten from that book so far is get into these stories. They invite you to get in and think. That's the second order thinking. Everything Charlie just said is second order thinking.
Right.
That is encouraged by the story itself.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
You understand human nature and how people work because you're human. You grow up, you live around. Take your experiences into the story and realize these are real people and start thinking about what were their motivation. That's the second order thinking.
Right.
And wisdom is derived from that second order thinking, not sitting back. Oh, good story. Yeah. Okay. That was a good story. You entered. No. Wisdom comes from, why did these things happen? What was the thinking? Why did they decide to do what they did the way they did it? What was the result? That's where the wisdom comes from. You got to get into the stories. And that's how the Hebrew does philosophy.
Yeah.
It's not the Socratic method where I ask you a bunch of questions and try to guide you along an argument. It's, I tell you a story and invite you into the story so you can reason your way through the intentions and motivations and actions and results of all of the characters involved.
And this helps to, it helps people, I think, to process these concepts and ideas in a way that they can internalize, because it helps you. Right. Because it helps you to connect these moral ideals to actual, life circumstances, I guess is a way to put it.
Yeah.
So as you put yourself into the story and you're saying, oh, I see, this guy did this for this reason, most likely. And there's this moral connection to this. So this is the reason, the moral reason behind what he did, or why he didn't do it, or whatever, or these are the consequences of his moral failures. And, all these things are going around in your head and causing you to think on these things and apply them to your own circumstance in life to see, how would I deal with this?
If you keep thinking on this, then you'll come up with, that's why Yahweh tells us to do this or not do that.
Right.
To prevent this type of event.
Right.
Or it could be, this is why we were told, not to do this or to do that, because these things happen, to prevent them from happening again, or as a result of this. Yes, I get it. In this story, if you look at the scriptures as an entire story, it welds all of human history together. Whereas the Greek mind, well, this happened here and that happened there, and it doesn't always tell you why it happened. Especially since in the Greek mindset, it'll all be opinion. But in the story of Yahweh's people throughout time, it doesn't leave as much open to your own interpretation, because later on in the story, it'll tell you why these things happen or what the outcome was. You're guided through the story by the Holy Spirit and the prophets. They will tell you how to rightly view the major parts of this story, this plot.
And that's what's important too, as you look at these stories, to ask yourself questions like, why did the author include this particular thing and perhaps excluded these other details? Because the author is trying to steer you in a certain direction to get you to come to certain conclusions. So there's some of that going on too. And that's another question you can ask yourself is, why did the author include these details and exclude these other details? And, like when I asked, why was Simeon picked? Why?
Well,
I still don't know for certain here, but that's a question.
What you're just sucking is right here. Sailor Son says, weren't most of the apostles Benjamites? And I believe most of them were.
Yeah.
It says used to repair the breach between Israel and Judah. And I believe they probably were.
Right.
And he has another comment later down in here, or here. It says, or rather to bring the gospel of the kingdom to both houses and return the Torah. So that's the type of thinking that we're invited to get into.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Good comments.
Because you look at, very good comments.
That's what we're looking for. That's the kind of things that as to draw our minds to these ideas.
Just one caution to us though. As you're doing that, be careful about saying, yep, that's what it has to be. It can be, that's what I believe it is, but hold on to that rather loosely. because as you grow in your understanding of the scriptures and your faith, you're liable to find out there are more pieces of the puzzle you had not seen yet, which might change your opinion. So
That plus also when you look at some of these ideas and you can connect them to other threads that are similar in other stories throughout the scriptures, you can see how these things tie together to make
patterns.
a cohesive tapestry that gives you a bigger picture and connects more of the pixels or whatever puzzle pieces.
The mosaic, according to Heiser,
puts it in greater focus for us, because when that happens, then oh, now I think I'm onto something. As you see these ideas kind of gain some confluence as they come together.
Natasha asks if they would have eaten at separate tables or separate rooms. Probably just at separate tables.
Yeah, I think
more than likely.
It seems like, especially if he was giving them food off of his table and stuff like that, they were probably in fairly close proximity. They were just not at the same table.
Ultimately, this is the whole thing here, man. We're being invited into the stories to think and to reason into why did this happen? Why did it happen this way? What was the relationship between the human actors and the Holy Spirit and in this Yahweh and the fallen, evil, unclean spirits? And you're being invited to look at the whole thing, and it's being presented to you as you are the watcher of the play, so you can see a little bit of what everybody's doing.
Yeah.
And you got to remember that the agents in the play don't necessarily know what each other's thinking. You know more than they do.
Yeah.
And it's
and that could have been another thing, where I just thought of this as we were talking about this, that it did say that he was serving them food from his table, which
he's serving.
Yeah. But even so, doing that, then, like my comments, before about, having separate tables and separate things, so that you wouldn't enter into a covenant type by him doing that could have been a signal that, hey, this is a covenant meal. It may not have been, formally declared as such, but it would get them to thinking, oh, what's going on here? This is,
they would at least know that this isn't normal.
There's something going on here. So all this is telegraphing what's going to come in the next couple chapters, I believe. Yep. So this is all, it's all, like I said, the things the author includes versus the things the author doesn't include. You got to pay attention to these little tidbits that can kind of make you go,
human. Look how human the apostles are. Not the apostles, Jacob's sons, excuse me. So Joseph's doing things that are out of the norm. They notice that. Rather than going, oh, cool, what's happening? They become fearful.
Oh, yeah.
The first reaction of anything outside of the norm is fear.
Well, think about this from their perspective. They're sitting down with pretty much Pharaoh. He's second to Pharaoh, but for all practical purposes, they're sitting down with the king of Egypt. Pretty much. You can't get much closer than actually, sitting. And he has the power not only to make them slaves, but to, off with their heads.
Off with your head.
He had full control. I'd be shaking in my boots too. Especially when you're invited over to the king of Egypt's house for lunch.
That's
not normal. That's not, we're just foreigners coming in to buy some food, and we're invited.
That would be akin to Caiaphas inviting a Roman tax collector to come have lunch in the temple.
Right. Yeah. So
yes,
this is
literally.
I can understand their fear and trepidation here. And then when they get seated in their birth order, they're like, there's something going on here,
Yep. Not to mention all the other abnormalities.
All these things. The money and they're. And because, again, like you were saying earlier, they look at things from a spiritual perspective too, and things, oh boy, they'd have some things going on here that they would be, this would be disconcerting to them.
The fear factor was at a high level.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, folks. Tomorrow we will have my buddy Brett on the show. We're going to be talking about Constantine, the Council of Nicaea, and everything dealing with Constantine and that work. Oh, I think you're in for some eye-opening. Brett doesn't have to refer to the books to teach you these things. He loves the history of the church, the early history of the church. Oh, he loves the history of the church, period. This is his thing. This is where he's spent a great deal of his time studying, and he can rattle this stuff off from memory the way David Barton does the founding fathers. I don't know if you've ever run into David Barton, but he can talk faster than you can listen about the founding fathers. Brett knows the history of the church, and he's going to help us with a lot of this. And yes, we might be going a little long tomorrow. I've already told Brett. He took off the whole half of the morning. He'll be with us as long as necessary. And if tomorrow is well received, he is excited about joining us for a series of shows we're thinking about titling Sticky Wickets. And we'll go over all sorts of things dealing with our faith, not just necessarily scripture, but with the faith in general. Like he's open to have a conversation. He's still a Sunday guy. He's willing to have that discussion with us. And he's willing to have a discussion about, is the law dead, or do the 10 Commandments still stand, or whatever. He'll tell you how his background tomorrow when we introduce him. But he also wants to go over syncretism within the church. And he's not as far away from us as you might think. It's still what we would think of as being within the mainstream church, but closer to our beliefs than most people might realize. He also wants to help us to explain or explore what Catholic versus Roman Catholic means, and how your canon was set. And like we might want to have a discussion one time about the Council of Trent and how that was important. And he knows a lot about the Protestants and the Reformers. He's really good with them. He knows their names, what they did, he knows it all. He can blend this all together for us. So tomorrow should be a very good show. And I'm excited to bring him to you because he's one of my go-tos. And he'll tell you, I ask him a lot of questions, and he'll also tell you whenever I ask him a question, it's always a tough one. And I've told him before, I said, I don't need your help with the easy ones. I can take care of the easy myself. But we're going to have a good time tomorrow. I hope you'll be here. Thursday, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but Friday, we'll be back into The Scepter and the Birthright. We're coming up on the end of that book. We only have a few chapters of that left as well. So stick with us. We're wrapping up our series that we've been doing all summer, and we're transitioning into the new schedule starting in August. But the shows, we're still going to try and keep producing as much possible material with as high a content as possible. My shows will get a lot deeper and richer. Charlie will do the same for you, and every now and then he'll sing and dance. He said that he'd be willing to do, if I put up the paywall, he'll do an all Charlie dance hour for Mrs. Boatwright. But he said if he's gonna have to embarrass himself that much, he's gonna demand a lot of payment. So y'all are gonna have to. He's not into donuts, so I don't know what you're gonna bribe him with. But anyhow, so
Hawaiian t-shirts.
Yes, no. Batteries for his Hawaiian t-shirts. He's got to go through batteries like nobody's business for some of those shirts.
How about just some alcohol? Because I may need some to do that.
Little liquid encouragement for the dancing.
As long as it ain't on the Worship Wednesday. We who are lost.
Yeah.
If you want to see him kick his feet up and do more than just this, it'll take alcohol. All right. We're going to get out of here.
Fun when I go to school and I come back to watch the replays and be like, did these numbskulls lose their religion that fast?
Yeah, that could be. We may be in trouble here.
Who knew that the glitchy AI was the one keeping us on course?
Yeah, really.
Anyhow, we thank you for joining us. We hope that you find value in what we're putting forward. And then if nothing else, it invites you to read your scriptures, study them a little closer. maybe with a different perspective or a different point of view. Dig deeper, think more about them, realize that they're not some mythology or some distant, far off thing. They are a living document. They're a living word that has as much application to our lives today in our times and culture as they did back then. You just have to wrestle with them to figure out how they apply to your world today. You have to learn how to what we call rightly divide the scriptures, rightly interpret them. What is the spirit of the law? How do I apply that in my life? And that's what we're trying to encourage you to do. That's thinking. That's right reasoning. And I don't mean political right. I mean correct reasoning. So that's our goal. To the extent that we hit the mark, praise be to Yahweh, his Son, and his Holy Spirit. To the extent that we miss, or if we get a little too irreverent for some people, let us know, admonish us. We take correction humbly, but also we're human. And if you think that the patriarchs didn't act in what we might think of as unholy ways, you haven't read your scriptures closely enough, because that's recorded. So read them as though it's a story to human people about other human believers wrestling with how to please Yahweh. So thank you for being here. If you like what we're doing, hit the like buttons, share the show. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe and hit the bell. The bell is going to be very important to you. That lets you know when we do off schedule shows. And there will be some of those coming up in the near future. I already told Charlie that I'm toying with the idea of doing another book study, but that one won't be on a regular day. It'll be whenever I can get to it. So if you haven't hit the bell, you may not know when I've covered another chapter of a book. And we may not do scriptural books, just scriptural books. I might jump to the 5,000 or 6,000 year leap, or however he titled that. I might cover some stuff dealing with the founding of our nation as well. Those are my two primary areas of interest. So keep an eye on everything. Otherwise, we thank you for being here. We love you. Till we see you again, y'all stay safe. Take care. Yahweh bless. Bye-bye.